This is the Australian Butchers Guild podcast, brought to you by Meat and Livestock Australia, the podcast for passionate butchers.
G'day and welcome to the Australian Butchers Guild podcast. I'm your host, Doug Piper. Before we chat with today's guests, the Summer Beef campaign kicks off on the 15th of November. So if you've forgotten to order your free campaign materials, you can still email us at butchers@mla.com.au. Just send us your shop details and we'll add you to the campaign list. Or if you're not receiving any of the beef or lamb campaign materials, let us know and we will add you to the Order on Demand database. Today's episode, we hear from father and son butchers Barry and Craig Munro. They're the owners of Munro's Quality Meats, that is located in Wilberforce. It's a semi-rural area of New South Wales and only a stone's throw away from the mighty Hawkesbury River. Barry and Craig have certainly endured more than their fair share of bad luck over the years, from their pre-COVID bushfires that decimated their community late 2019 and early 2020. Then halfway through 2020, the Hawkesbury River flooded through their area, as well as what COVID has thrown their way. Barry and Craig, welcome to today's episode.
Thanks for having us, mate.
No problem. How's everything going out there at Wilberforce?
Yeah, everything's going really well at the moment. We're just starting to get back into it. Now that everything's opened back up again, a lot of the holiday makers are starting to come back out and use the river. We didn't realise how much of an asset that river was to us. So, yeah, things are starting to pick up again.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, it's a popular spot. We used to water ski up there at Dargle many years ago, probably before you were even thought about, Craig. But yeah, it was always popular up there, and that river certainly does service some great areas around the district, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure, and it brings a lot of people out from the city for their holiday weekends and things like that. So it's really good.
Barry, how are you going, mate?
I'm good, thanks, Doug.
What's been happening in your world?
Well, I'm semi-retired now. Craig's taken the reins.
Really?
Doing such a great job, and I come in when they need me. I'm just enjoying it. But I'll tell you what, Doug, I have had a little bit of time off, and you don't realise how much you miss the trade and you miss the people. I've been in that one particular shop for over 30 years, and you get to know a lot of people. And when you're not there, you wish you were there. You know, when Craig calls me to say, "Come and give us a hand, Dad," I'm there, and it's a great feeling to people know you as well, and it's a great privilege, really, this trade.
Yeah, it is a privilege. Like, you become a member of the family with a lot of cases. All the families that you've served over the 30 years you've been there, and like other butchers around Australia, business owners and butchers who have been in shops for a long time, they become a member of the family because you know everybody. You watch their kids grow up. You know what they like to eat. It's such a great industry to be in. It's such a great trade to have under your belt. I'm the same. I miss it, or I have missed it. I haven't missed Christmases, Easter, early morning starts for a long time. But I do miss that interaction with customers.
Yeah, that's right. It's like you don't know what you've got until it's gone. So we employ some casuals, and they're fairly elderly, and they just love it. It's just a great thing.
It is. So when did you actually open up that business? Did you open the shop? Was it a pre-existing butcher shop, or did you start it from scratch, Barry?
No, my dad and I, Harold Munro, he had quite a few shops around the Hawkesbury and Kellyville and Blacktown area when I was growing up. I'd go in and rake the sawdust, and he'd give me a Frankfurt, and and so I've sort of had a lot of history with butchering and that. I never actually done my apprenticeship with Dad though. I'd done my apprenticeship with a larger chain store company, and I had the privilege of working under many different managers in different areas. So that led me to learn different techniques and to realise that prices are different, quality is different, the whole demographic is different. And back in those days, they weren't takeaway food. Like fast food places or supermarkets were only thinking about having meat on the shelves. So every butcher shop had at least 10 to 15 butchers working in the shop, and it was hustle and bustle, and it was just a great thing. And to be an apprentice in those days. But working with Dad, he opened the shop at Wilberforce, and then I came along, and I've been there 30 years now, but Dad was there, he opened the shop, and Craig and I bought the shop off him, and here we are.
It's a long time, isn't it?
It is.
So how long is it? How long have you been in the industry for?
Oh, about 40 odd years.
Goes in a flash though.
It does. I started my apprenticeship in South Australia back in 1977 in Central Markets, which is, if you've ever been there, it was back then there was something like 7 butcher shops all in a row in a very small area, and they had spruikers.
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell you the price of meat because I wasn't allowed to serve customers. My job was to, like you, Barry, rake the floor. I got a bit more than the Frankfurt though, but rake the floor. And on the busy days, I was the offal bar. We had every type of offal you could possibly think of, and splitting pigs' heads with a chopper. I was allowed to do that, even though most people, I think, would be thinking that with a chopper these days it's a bit dangerous. But that was one of the first things I actually cut, I think it was. But it's come a long way, to where we are today.
Sure has.
So Craig, what got you interested in the industry?
Well, I've never really known any different. My earliest memories are actually getting up early and coming to work with Dad, because the daycare centre is right next to the shop. So I wouldn't know what time it was. It was darkness when we left, and on the way through to work, there was a McDonald's store drive-through, and they just started doing breakfast. If I managed to stay awake the whole time, I was able to get the hash brown. Otherwise, I missed out. But I've always known the shop. It's always been part of who I am, and that's sort of where I started. I've spent my weekends and my holidays in there, and if I wasn't at the shop, I was up at my grandfather's farm out at Cumnock. So I've never really known any different, and I've always loved it. So that's where I am.
Yeah, I remember catching up with Barry. Oh, geez, that would have been, I think I've probably known you for probably 13, 14 years now, mate.
Yep.
When was it called Colonial Meats or something like that?
Yep.
Yeah, right. Geez, what a memory. And I think we were talking about, I think you were interested, or you were using a lot of MSA graded beef, and you're still using MSA?
Yeah, it's been a real good thing for us. Not only does it's carton meat, we get the MSA grade cartons, and it's great because you only buy in what you need. And when we used to buy body beef in, you'd have a row of rumps, or you'd have a row of rounds or top sides at the end of the week, and then you'd have to discount something to square up because you had bodies coming in again the following week. But with cartons, you just buy what you need, and the prices these days, you can't afford to discount too much. So it's perfect for us. And with the MSA program that we've put the butchers through, they've got the knowledge to serve a customer with, confidence, and to say that if you cook it this way, it's going to be tender. And the customers love that, because a lot of times they don't know how to cook it just right, and it's the whole experience, and they come back and get more, and it's really good for us.
Yeah, it's a great program. It's a great grading program. It's not a brand. It's just a eating quality that underpins the brand. So there are just so many different brands out there today, and I suppose at the moment we're struggling to get some of those better brands that are around the place because of supply. But when it all comes back, you've just got that confidence that what you're going to be selling your customers is going to be pretty darn good all the time.
That's right, yeah.
And Craig, you mentioned your grandfather's property. Was he raising cattle, or was it just a hobby farm? Or
no, he had quite a bit of land out there, and we were getting a lot of our beef from out there. And once he got a little bit too old for as the shop sort of grew in turnover, and he became a lot older, so he wasn't able to supply with what we needed. So the MSA program actually came along at a really good time for us, because it more or less we were able to get exactly what we were getting from the farm, and we were able to guarantee that nothing really changed, because the MSA program was very, very similar to the way that my grandfather used to run the farm out there at Cumnock. So it came along at the perfect time, and yeah, so was that 13 years ago now?
Yep.
It was a while, yeah. So we've been with it ever since.
Like I said, it's just it's a great program that underpins a brand. And I don't know, I was only thinking today whether or not you can still buy graded carcasses. I'm pretty sure you can, but I don't know too many guys that are actually doing too many carcasses these days. I know you guys, I think last time I was in your shop, you had a few you're still doing a few carcasses?
Yeah, we do the carcasses mostly because we like to pull a lot of those primals off for our dry age beef. So we've got a couple of dry age fridges in there, and yeah, we prefer to use those ones for the dry aging process.
Yeah, we were when we were there. I saw the fridges, mate. You guys have done a great job renovating that shop. It's a very smart looking shop, and it's big too. It's not just a little shop. It's a double frontage or something, isn't it?
Yes, that was all Dad's idea actually. Take over the shop next door and do it, expand right through.
The shop next door kept coming up for rent, and there was various tenants there, and I thought to myself, like when Craig and I took over, I thought to myself, if the opportunity came along again, we'd expand in there and put a deli in and another cool room, and it'd just and completely renovate the shop. And the opportunity came along, and we haven't looked back. And it's been a really good thing for us to just expand that little bit more, and we can offer a bigger range. We've got a bigger display cabinet, and we can do more value adding, and it's just the eye appeal. People come in and they look at things, and people buy with their eyes. And we're pretty big on our display. So
in the dry aging side of it, that's taken off everywhere. I think pretty much it's very popular. So as that that's obviously gone well for you guys as well.
Yeah, it has. It's one of those things that it's obviously not an everyday thing, but it's a special occasion, or it's a weekend barbecue with your friends. It's really something that you look forward to, and it's just great for us to be able to offer that option to a lot of our customers who wouldn't have experienced that otherwise.
Do you are they buying whole primals? I know some butchers will get a whole set of ribs or a whole rump and sell it to the customer prior to dry aging it. Are you doing that as well, so you can age it to their requirements, or have you just got it all pre-aged and people just come in and buy as they want or like?
For the most part, we are selling per piece, so per steak. But we do have requests, so we have people come in and say, "Oh, can I have that whole piece?" Which we will then put their name on it and hold it for as long as they like. So yeah, it's entirely up to the customer. We're very customer orientated with what we do. We try to make it as easy for the customers as possible.
I have seen that happen where a few guys are selling the whole primal. They'll get a whole, say, a set of ribs, and then they'll leave it for, say, 30 days or something, and the customer will come in and they'll go, give us a couple of OP ribs. They'll slip a couple off, and they'll leave the rest in there for about another 2 or 3 weeks or something, and eventually they wear it all down. But I suppose at the end of the day, the customers or the butcher isn't losing anything because the meat's already been sold at that rate. It's just taking up real estate in his dry ager.
Yeah.
What we found, Doug, when we first got those dry age fridges, it was all completely new to us, and we'd done a little bit of research, and we decided to age the meat for 40 days, and we advertised it, and we got a good response, and we're turning over quite a bit of dry age meat. But what we found was we were trimming too heavy, and we worked out a price per kilo after it had been trimmed, and it's astronomical, really. So what we do now is 28 days in the dry age. We put sirloins in there, and there's minimal trim, and we don't have to sell it for as much. So we've struck that happy balance in price and quality. It's taken us a little while, but it's worked out pretty good.
Yeah, I've heard 28 days is about the optimum sort of days aging for it, where you don't lose too much and you're still getting that nice nutty flavour that you're getting out of the beef.
Yeah,
and it's it does make it a little bit more tender. Now, Craig, meat stock. What's happening? You've done really well in that in the Sydney meat stock over the last few years, haven't you?
I've been very, very lucky with meat stock. This crazy butcher came in maybe 4 or 5 years ago to the store, and named Shannon Walker. I'm sure if you're in the trade, you know him. I'd never met the bloke before. He just came in and picked me out and said, "This is what you're doing. This is how we do it. Let's have a go." So it was a stinking hot February day down at Homebush was the first one, and I didn't know what I was in for, to be honest. I turned up and I basically cut it out and displayed it as if I was doing a raffle tray for the local pub. And I had no idea what I was doing, but
it looked all right though.
It was a nice raffle tray. Compared to what the other guys were doing, it was unbelievable what the other guys were doing, and it really opened my eyes up to what was available and what you could do. And not only that, being backstage and talking to the other butchers, a lot of them were a lot older than me and had a lot more life experience, a lot more butcher experience. So just being able to talk to those sorts of guys and learn from them was valuable. And the following year, I believe they had 3. They did one in Auckland, one in Melbourne, and one in Sydney. And I'm never one to give up a business trip, so I did all 3. Took myself to Auckland and Melbourne, and I didn't do too bad over there. But once again, the main thing out of it was being backstage and talking to butchers and learning how they do things differently. It's only Auckland, which is not far, you know. It's I know it's another country, but you basically think you'd be doing the exact same thing, and the same with Melbourne, heading down there and watching what they're doing down there, and it's so different. And the community network that we sort of built just because of this competition it's amazing. And if there's any young butchers out there, or even old butchers, get into it and have a go, because what you learn far outweighs whatever nerves you may have before entering. It's unbelievable, and it really is helped me get to the confidence level that I have to be able to put different products in our window and be happy showcasing what the trade's about.
Yeah, I think I was you won the Sydney one, didn't you?
I finally won that one, yeah. I had a lot of work into it to get there, and a lot of people helped me along the way.
Yeah, I still haven't got that $50, mate, because I think I was judging that one. But yeah, but mate, it's an amazing sort of thing for butchers to do. You spoke about nerves. You know, butchers are really we're a funny breed. With that counter in front of us, we can talk to anybody. You take that counter away, and we find butchers become introverts, and they really sort of struggle. Some not all, but some struggle to even to go out and speak to people they don't know, or in a crowd or something. And I'm a little bit the same myself. But with something like with Meat Stock, or we've spoken about the World Butchers Challenge with Daniel last week or the other week, you know, there's that whole nerve thing, getting out there and being able to display, do what you do, you know, which comes second nature to all butchers. We just get in there and you'll just cut up the meat and putting out a display there. And the work that the butchers do, especially in Meat Stock, what they're putting together in such a short amount of time is fantastic. The crowds love it, don't they? They go berserk. They certainly appreciate what you guys can do. They like the theatre of it all, and I know there's some characters there. I think I saw one guy there who rolled up. I think he was straight off a boning floor. He had the full metal, you know, chain mail on his chest and his arms, and he was wearing, I think he was wearing thongs too. So he was you know, he was well suited up for it, and he had a ponytail, and I think he boned and rolled a whole side of lamb. I think that's what his effort was, but it was a bit different. But he got up there and had a crack. It's probably a little bit like yourself going there and creating the best looking meat tray that you've ever seen to what the presentation that you ended up doing when you won. You know, it's starting out somewhere, and then you're learning along the way, and you go, okay, this is how it's done, and this is what I've got to do. You know, I think Jay and Shannon, I think Shannon's been the one that's really driven a lot of butchers. Like you said, you're coming to Meat Stock and you're going to do this. You know, he's really driven that hard, and he's done a fantastic job with it too.
Yeah, definitely. Meat Stock's opened a lot of doors for me, actually. Back in, I think it was 2019, same thing again. Shannon rang me up and said, we're going to Brazil. We're doing this festival in Sao Paulo. And I think there was about maybe 15 or 20 of us that jumped on a plane and went to this amazing festival called Churrascada. And just to be able to do what we do, like the Meat Stock Butcher Wars, in front of this crazy audience of South Americans that were just loving everything that we did. It was the best thing for myself. And if anybody can do it, get in there and do it, because it opens doors for you. It allows amazing experiences, and best of all, it gives you really, really good mates that are doing the same thing as you. You can ring them at any time and talk to them about something that may have happened in your day, and they've been through it before, and it gives you a chance to get some things out of your head and off your chest, and to somebody that can understand.
Yeah, you feel that way. You're not the only one. If you've got that network of people around you to give you support, it's a valuable thing to have in business.
Yeah, for sure.
Getting back into work sort of mode. So, you guys, have you ventured out into the online shopping part, in the online shopping world yet, or you've got your own website happening?
We've been very lucky that we haven't had to do that with COVID. It was something we were looking to do before the big pandemic, the big lockdown happened, and then everything just took off, and we just haven't had a chance to catch a breath to do it. But we have had we got things in place for when we can get started.
And your wife, she's a chef, isn't she? She works in the business.
Yeah. So she's a fully qualified chef, and she's come with us, and she's now doing like pies, quiches, cannellonis, lasagnas, potato bakes. She does all the salads there, and there's a lot more to come next year. We've got some big plans coming in March, so we're really looking forward to what she can come up with next year, what we're going to produce.
Yeah, having a chef on board's a valuable asset, so you utilise everything, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. And it also helps with the staff as well. So if there's any questions that a customer may have, she can pop her head in and give us a bit of a hand for a tricky situation. We've also got a couple of competition barbecue guys that are working for us as well. So anyone comes in with questions about briskets or beef ribs or pork ribs or any of those sorts of things, we've got those guys around as well that can help the customers to cook really good stuff at home themselves.
Yeah, the low and slow movement's certainly just gone berserk everywhere. Briskets, I did a whole beef shank on the weekend. First time I watched Jay Beaumont's little video that he did on his social pages, and that sort of inspired me. So I went to my son's shop on last week and grabbed a couple of hind shanks, and I tell you what, mate, I still have some left in the fridge. I had some for lunch today. I kept all the jus from the marinade and not so much the marinade, the stock and all that gelatinous sort of liquid that came out of the shank, and I used it like a French dip roll. So I just got a roll and I loaded it up full of shin meat and just dipped it in the bowl, heated up, dipped it in the bowl, and ate that for lunch. I'm not going to have any dinner tonight, but God, it was good.
Yeah, that's good. And with that sort of thing, there's always leftovers. Like you could shred that down and put it into a pasta, or you could there's a lot of things you can do with all that stuff. So
I'm looking at playing around with a chuck.
Yep.
So because briskets, I think, are going to become a little bit scarce coming over the next few, probably 4 to 6 months with the way that processing is going and stock availability. So looking at other sort of cuts we can use, and I'm sure other guys have done it, but I'm going to have a bit of play with the chuck over the next few weeks. So pull the chuck eye log out, and that'll smoke and braise down nicely. And using that rib meat over the top of it, if you get something that's got a little bit of fat through it, so something that's a bit grain fed, I think that'll sort of substitute for a bit of brisket anyway, and I'm pretty sure that'll eat pretty darn good.
We were talking about the chuck the other day, weren't we?
Yeah, we were actually. We're on the same page, Doug.
Hey, how good's that?
Yeah, because we're actually having troubles getting beef ribs at the moment, so there must be a big shortage of beef ribs, and like you say, brisket's going to be really hard to get as well coming in. So yeah, I think the chuck will be the way to go.
Just don't tell anyone. Just keep that to ourselves, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with food service opening up, that you'll see. Obviously, things will probably get a lot tighter. That's probably what's happened with the short ribs, because I think they were like hen's teeth there for a little while with a lot of the food service companies sort of trying to source them. They were getting harder and harder to get, and then obviously they've been reasonably easy to get over the last sort of 12 months. But I think food service opening up is really going to tighten up a lot of supply there. So look at alternatives, I reckon. So even I'm even going to play with the bowler. I want to sort of see what happens with that. I'm not too confident that that'll actually work, but might be able to sort of work something out with it anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to experiment, does it?
No. Which that's part of the job. Part of the job that I like. It's a I don't have to make money out of it. All I've got to do is sort of see if it's going to work, and if it works, we can put it out there through our socials and hopefully, give you guys or give the butchers around a little bit of an idea of what you can do with it, apart from just dice it, slice it, mince it, or whatever. But if we can get it into that, substitute it for brisket, I think you're on a winner.
Not only that, chuck's sort of seasonal. You sell quite a bit in the winter time, of course, with the casseroles and that, but summertime it normally goes in the mince, and if you can get a little bit more for it during the summertime as a low and slow, you're better off instead of just putting it in the mince or leaning sausages or, chuck's got a lot of flavour in it.
Well, that's for sure. You guys smoking your own hams this year? Do you do that, or you send out your legs for?
No, we've got a couple of smokehouses there, and really that's my job every year.
So you'll be called back in, will you?
Yes, it'll be sort of around the clock. Last year we weren't sure how many we were going to do with the pandemic, but it was quite a good Christmas. Hopefully this year families are going to be back together and things will get back to normal. We're tipping a good Christmas for that reason. It'd be just good to have a family around a table to eat a meal again.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have missed that over the last year or so, just getting together and seeing everybody. So I think hopefully butchers will have a great Christmas this year. It's going to be a busy one, I think, so all the best for that. Well, fellas, it's been great catching up with you both. Great to see you, and I'll look forward to catching up before Christmas now that we can get out, and I'll come out and have a look at the shop and might grab a bit of that dry-aged beef off you.
And can I just say, Doug, I think you're doing a great job for the meat industry, and thank you very much.
We appreciate what you do, Doug.
No, thanks, mate. Look, I love the trade. I wouldn't do it if I didn't like it. Put it that way, because I think there's a lot of opportunity out there for this industry, and I still love to get out and see the butchers whenever I can. I haven't been doing it a lot lately, but once we get the shackles off, it's part of my plan is to get out there and do a little bit more face-to-face visits with a few butchers. And I'll be looking forward to catch up with you guys. And thanks a lot.
Good on you, Doug.
Thanks, mate.
Now it's time to catch up with the AMIC New South Wales State Manager, Craig Wright. Craig's been with AMIC for quite a number of years now, and he's going to let us know where they're at with all their programs. Welcome, Craig.
Thanks, Doug. Thank you for having me on here today, and really appreciate it.
No worries, mate. It's great to have you here. So, mate, what's going on with Sausage King in New South Wales? I've got an idea that what's going on, but I don't think a lot of the members do. Yeah,
well, we've finally got the go-ahead to start off again, and we're actually starting off next week with our first regional in Tamworth on the 2nd, which actually turns out to be Melbourne Cup Day.
Bad timing.
Yeah, good timing. And then we're going to be doubling them up. We've got 6 more to go, and we've got to try and get them all done in the month. So we're going to be doing Tamworth on the Tuesday, and then we've got Newcastle Central Coast on the Thursday. And then the week after that, we're going to do Orange for the Central West region on the Tuesday. And then on the Friday, we're up at Wollongbar doing the Northern New South Wales regional heat. And then we've just got the Inner Metro after that on the 19th of November. And after that, we then head on to the Apprentice of the Year competition and the state final.
Wow. You got a bit of work ahead of you, mate.
Oh yeah, it's all good though. We're glad that we can get back out there and finish off the regional heats for all of our members who've missed out and probably at one stage thought that they weren't going to get their competition in for the year. So this has been a great relief, and we just hope that everything goes according to plan and we don't have any further lockdowns.
So what about the state finals? What's happening there?
State final is going to be a bit more low key this year. Unfortunately, we're going to be doing it at Granville TAFE. It won't be a big outside event. It'll be at Granville TAFE, and then after the competition on that Friday, we'll present the awards for all the first, second, and third place getters.
So that'll be after Christmas, is it?
No, it's before Christmas. It's on the 3rd of December, Friday the 3rd of December. Yeah. So yeah, unfortunately, we've had to go into December. But we wanted to try and get it done this side of Christmas and get it, rather than not than going into next year.
And your counterpart Andrew's been out busy with the Helix Personas program.
Yes, he has. Andrew's been doing a great job with the Helix Personas program. We've been using the opportunity while we've been in lockdown to contact all of our members and a couple of non-members around New South Wales. Andrew's just been going through it all with them, telling them what they can actually get out of it, and then preparing the report, sending that through to them on email. And then in 2 or 3 weeks' time, you'll actually follow them up, find out how they're going, what they got out of it, and get any feedback that we can provide to you guys as well.
For those out there that don't know or think we're swearing when we say Helix Persona, it's actually a business tool that you can use to identify the community where your butcher shop is or a business is. So how it does, it uses the information from the ABS census as well as a shopper data that Roy Morgan get through from some of their surveys, and it feeds it all together so we can work out how many will give us a population in this area. It'll give us their whether they're blue collar workers, white collar workers, all their sorts of professions, right through to whether they have a mobile phone, whether they use internet. Gives you ideas of how you can actually contact them through, on behalf of your business. So, whether you're going to do a letterbox drop or whether you're going to use social media or, all different types of ideas as well. So it's quite a valuable tool. You can get a little bit of insight out of it. Most butchers, I think, sort of understand who their customer is. But you just never know in some communities where they're all located, where the different types of personas are located. So it's look forward to that. So if you guys out there want to know a little bit more about it, that's a very brief overview on it. So don't forget to just contact Craig at AMIC, or you can come through us as well, and we'll direct you through to Craig and Andrew to organise a report. So what else is going on out there, mate? What have you heard?
I think at the moment, what we're finding everybody's biggest challenge at the moment is finding staff. Yeah, it's a huge issue in the industry. I think it's an issue across all industries at the moment, from what I'm hearing. I think there's a number of reasons why. I think, one of them, if you talk to people, they'll say it's because people have been happy to get their government handouts and sit at home and enjoy that and not do much work. The other one is probably the fact that we're not getting any of the international students coming into the country, as well as skilled professionals coming into the country from overseas that can help fill some of those vacancies there. So we're hoping that things will turn around in the not too distant future, and once we start getting a few more people coming back in and the borders open up. And it's the same thing too. There may be butchers in other states that may have come to New South Wales but are not coming to New South Wales because of the borders being closed. So we can only hope that that's going to change. We're actually at AMIC, we're working on the PATH program still. It's an ongoing task that we're working on with government, and we should hopefully see some things coming out of that in the next couple of months or so. Oh,
excellent. So hopefully that'll bring a few more knives to the table, so to speak, and eliminate some of those vacancies around the place.
Yeah, I think a lot of people thought that we would see some butchers coming out of Coles when Coles shut up their butcher shops, but unfortunately that hasn't proved to be the case. A lot of those butchers have actually either left the industry or been deployed within Coles and into other areas within Coles. So we didn't really pick up many, or if any, of the Coles butchers.
Yeah, I was hoping the same thing. I would have thought there would have been quite a few of them looking for some more work, but unfortunately nothing much has come out of that. So back to square one again.
We've also been providing members over the last 3 months while we've been in lockdown with information around government assistance packages that are available to them, and handling calls for clarification on COVID guidelines. A lot of butchers have actually been calling up saying, "Oh, what do I do? I've got a customer that's proving a bit difficult, or they don't want to wear a mask. Where do we stand? What do we do?" We've been making sure that we sent out regular communications to members around all the COVID guidelines and requirements to ensure that they're well prepared. We've had posters that have been set up for them. We've had regular meetings with government, New South Wales Health as well as New South Wales Treasury on a weekly basis, just to get all the information for all small businesses as well as obviously the retail butchers specific, and providing that information to them in a timely manner. So I would say we've been the port of call for all of our members in these last 3 months, or if not before that too, just to make sure that they're prepared for what they need to be with COVID.
Yeah, that must be really handy, because there's just so much confusing news out there about what you can do, what you can't do. But to have AMIC there in the background, sort of sorting through all the red tape just to make it a little bit easier, that's got to be so handy for a lot of business owners.
Oh yeah, it has been. I mean, we've had a number of members and even non-members too. We also made an effort to contact our non-members just as a courtesy call and say, are you aware of what you need to be doing? Is there anything you need help with? To give them an understanding of what they can actually get from us as if they were a member. But even while they're not a member, we can also help. We're there to help them. We're there to help all of industry. It's not just our members. It's everybody in the meat industry.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great initiative by AMIC to do that, because a lot of the non-members, they're either a member because they can't afford to, or have never felt the need to. And some of them, I think there's still quite a few butchers out there that are struggling and they can't afford to be a member. But it's handy. It's great to know that you guys are still out there helping the non-member side of it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right then. Well, we'll let you get on, and we'll catch up with you very soon. Thanks a lot, Craig.
Thank you. Cheers, mate.
And to finish off today, here's Steve Bignell, MLA's Market Information Manager, to update us with what is happening in today's beef and lamb markets. G'day, Steve. How are you, mate?
Hey, Doug. Yeah, good, thanks.
That's the way. How's your day been?
Yeah, good. Out of lockdown here, so that's good, and I bet it's good for the meat market.
Definitely. So what's good about it, mate? What's happening that's positive?
What we're seeing at the moment, we're seeing the new season lambs come onto the market in a big way, and that's providing, we're getting around yardings of around 50,000 head each week, and what we're seeing is prices sort of stabilise around that high 800, close to 900 cents per kilo. But what we're seeing is a huge influx of new season lambs.
Beautiful. The predictions were right. I think you're spot on with your forecasting.
Yeah, we are expecting lamb, and we have seen that. Slaughter hasn't dipped like some thought. It has stayed up near 2020 levels, so there's a lot of supply there. And what we're seeing a lot of heavier lambs come through. So there's a lot of heavy lambs at the moment, and a few light lambs. The majority of light lambs coming through in South Australia and WA at the moment.
Excellent. So good supply all around the country, I hope.
Yeah, it is. It's sort of similar in cattle. There's less on the market, and what we're seeing there is the tighter supply, and rain events are pushing those cattle prices. It's a bit of a different market, but in terms of supply is consistent, that's pushing some of the prices there higher.
Higher still.
High territories.
Yeah. So I suppose it's only going to get a little bit tighter too with the supply side of it, with food service firing up in New South Wales and Victoria over the next couple of weeks.
There'll definitely be a lot of increased demand from food service, and especially we saw retail really kick up. So in the lockdowns, but we will see food service come back on. We're still seeing really strong demand overseas, especially for China for mutton, and there's still obviously the global protein deficit, so there's still demand side pressures. And with cattle, we're starting to get ready for the northern wet, so that'll be a really interesting dynamic where we will see maybe a little bit of tightening if the La Nina that the Bureau is predicting comes through to fruition.
So what they're predicting a wet El Nina again, are they?
Yeah, so another wet La Nina, yeah.
La Nina.
So another wet La Nina. So that's already sort of been predicted. So if that happens, one thing it will mean is definitely that the herd rebuild will continue, and that means that the supply we definitely will have a far bigger increase in supply in 2022.
Oh, that's just something positive to look forward to.
It is, mate.
Yeah.
And the heavier animals coming through across the board because of the good seasons.
That's awesome. The old producers are doing a great job out there growing the beef for us. That's great, mate.
No, it is. And we'll have some more production figures, especially around the grain-fed market, in the next 2 weeks for you, Doug.
Terrific. All right, mate. Well, thanks a lot for your time tonight, Steve. I know you're in a rush to get home to have a bit of a feed, so we'll catch up with you in a couple of weeks' time, mate.
Will do. Cheers, Doug. Always a pleasure.
Well, that's a wrap-up for this episode, and thanks for listening. If you want more information about anything we discussed today, please contact me at butchers@mla.com.au. Keep in touch and stay well.
You've been listening to the Australian Butchers Guild podcast, produced by The Sound Business.